Never do these 8 things when leaving your cat alone, because every time you close the door and walk away, your cat enters a world that you rarely see, a world filled with quiet waiting, hidden emotions, and instincts older than civilization itself. You might think leaving your cat alone is harmless. After all, they sleep most of the day, right? But what if I told you that what happens behind that closed door can silently shape your cat's mind, body, and even your bond with them forever? From loneliness to confusion, from instinctive rituals to emotional distress, your cat's experience when you're gone is far more complex than most realize. And new science reveals that certain everyday mistakes humans make, things done without a second thought, can actually distort their sense of safety, disrupt their hormones, and leave permanent marks on their trust. Today, we'll uncover 8 things you should never do when leaving your cat alone, because these small actions or moments of neglect can echo in ways that most owners never imagine. So take a breath, because what you're about to hear might forever change how you look at your cat when you walk out that door. Number 1, the silence that breaks their world. Imagine this. You step out of your home, shutting the door behind you. Silence. But to your cat, that silence isn't peaceful, it's deafening. Cats are sensory creatures. They live through sound, smell, and rhythm, the heartbeat of their environment. When you suddenly leave and everything goes quiet, their world collapses into stillness. According to Dr. Marissa Klein from the University of Edinburgh's Feline Behavioral Studies Unit, cats don't just miss sound, they map it. Every hum of your refrigerator, every footstep, even your breathing patterns create a soundscape that tells them you are safe. When that pattern disappears, their amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and anxiety, becomes hyperactive. Their body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. They might pace, overgroom, or sit by the door for hours, waiting for the only sound that brings order back to their chaos, your return. Leaving them in absolute silence for hours, or worse, locking them in a quiet, empty room, tells their ancient instincts that they've been abandoned by their colony. To a cat, silence isn't peace, it's danger. So if you must leave, leave the rhythm of your presence behind, a gentle sound like soft classical music, or a recording of your voice, something that whispers, "I'm still here." Number 2, the unseen terror. An empty room. Have you ever returned home to find something shattered, or your cat hiding under the bed? It's not random. It's trauma. Silent but real. When cats are left alone, their environment becomes their entire world. And if that world turns unpredictable, it can become terrifying. Dr. Nathan Ross from Cornell's College of Veterinary Medicine explains that cats experience anticipatory anxiety, a constant state of alertness for sudden noises or movements. It's why a door slamming in the wind or a falling book can cause them to bolt in panic. In your absence, there's no reassuring presence to ground them. And when that fear response repeats, it rewires their behavior. They might become withdrawn, aggressive, or develop compulsive habits like scratching or meowing excessively. This is why leaving open windows, dangling cords, or unsteady objects in reach can trigger panic. One loud crash, and your cat's brain records it as an unsafe zone. They'll never truly relax there again. So before you leave, scan your space through your cat's eyes. Is that curtain rod loose? Is that plant pot balanced? What might fall, flicker, or frighten? Because to you, it's just an object, but to your cat, it could be the difference between safety and hours of silent panic. Number 3, the empty bowl syndrome, when hunger turns into fear. Here's where it gets even more heartbreaking. Most owners think, cats can go a few hours without food. They'll be fine. But according to research from the University of Tokyo's Feline Cognition Lab, that simple act of leaving their bowl empty, even once, can permanently affect their sense of security. Cats don't perceive food the way we do. To them, consistent feeding is proof of belonging. It's how their wild ancestors knew they were still part of the colony, that the group was functioning, stable, alive. When you leave them without food, or worse, with an unreliable schedule, their brain releases norepinephrine, the same chemical produced in moments of life-threatening uncertainty. Over time, this stress reshapes their behavior. They might guard food, eat too fast, or cry when you touch their bowl. Not because they're greedy, but because their survival instinct is screaming. Dr. Naomi Furuya, a Japanese behavioralist, calls it resource abandonment trauma. It's invisible but devastating, especially in indoor cats who depend entirely on their humans. So before you leave, make sure their bowl is filled with enough, or use an automatic feeder that mimics your feeding rhythm. Because to a cat, food isn't just nourishment, it's a promise. You'll come back. Number 4, the prison of boredom, when stillness becomes suffering. What if I told you that a cat's mind, left unstimulated, can begin to fragment in ways eerily similar to human depression? Dr. Elise Jordan from the University of Helsinki studied feline neurochemistry and found something extraordinary. Cats deprived of environmental stimulation for long periods show a drop in dopamine activity, the same neurochemical linked to human anhedonia, the inability to feel joy. This explains why cats sometimes sit in windows for hours, not moving. It's not relaxation, it's a quiet shutdown. When their world becomes too predictable, same walls, same smells, same silence, the brain begins to conserve energy by dimming emotional response. That's when play loses meaning, grooming turns compulsive, and eventually, the light in their eyes dulls. One case that shook researchers involved a rescue cat named Lumo. He lived alone for nearly 12 hours a day while his owner worked. By the 3rd month, he stopped greeting her, stopped playing, and began staring at corners as if watching invisible things. When Dr. Jordan monitored his stress hormones, Lumo's cortisol levels were comparable to those of shelter cats under extreme confinement. It wasn't neglect out of cruelty, it was neglect out of misunderstanding. Humans mistake quietness for peace, but sometimes quietness is collapse. So before you leave your cat alone, give them a world to explore. Puzzle feeders, scent trails, a perch by the window. Their minds are made for hunting, for solving, for curiosity. Without it, they fade. These first 4 mistakes, silence, triggers, hunger, and boredom, seem small, but they're not. Because each one tells your cat a story, and that story determines whether your absence feels like safety or loss. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. The next 4 mistakes are not about the environment you leave behind. They're about the emotional residue you imprint before you go. The way you say goodbye, the sense you leave behind, even the energy in your voice, all of it leaves an invisible fingerprint on their world. And once you understand that, you'll never see your daily departures the same way again. When you walk away, your cat doesn't just see a door closing. They feel a thread stretching, an invisible string that connects their heartbeat to yours. And depending on how you leave, that string either hums softly in comfort or snaps in silence. Because cats don't just respond to what you do before you leave, they remember how it felt. And in this half of our story, we'll uncover the last 4 things you should never do when leaving your cat alone. Mistakes that can wound them emotionally, shape their trust, and echo far deeper than you imagine. Number 5, the vanishing touch, leaving without goodbye. It seems harmless. You grab your keys, step out the door, and go. But to your cat, you didn't just leave, you disappeared. According to Dr. Helena Ortiz from the University of Madrid's Institute of Animal Emotion, cats recognize departure rituals, subtle cues that prepare their nervous system for separation. When you vanish suddenly, without touch or voice, it triggers what she calls displacement distress. Cats in her study who experienced abrupt departures showed increased heart rates, pacing, and loss of appetite. Classic signs of emotional confusion. It's not that they don't understand you'll return, it's that their expectation of your return was never set. In simpler terms, they never got closure. Touch, even brief, rewires that reaction. A gentle pet on the head, a whispered, "I'll be back soon," It tells their body the separation has a reason, not a threat. It's the same emotional anchor that mothers in the wild use before leaving their kittens in the den. So never just walk out. Leave a ritual, a rhythm your cat can trust, because every consistent goodbye becomes a bridge they walk across until you come home again. Number 6, the ghost scent, erasing yourself too completely. Here's something most people never realize. Cats live through scent. It's not just how they explore, it's how they remember. A groundbreaking study from the University of Vienna found that cats can identify their human's scent up to 13 days after exposure. But here's where it gets shocking. When that scent vanishes too abruptly, their stress hormones spike as if they've been socially cut off. Think about what that means. If you clean too thoroughly before leaving, washing bedding, spraying deodorizer, changing every familiar smell, you're not just freshening the house, you're erasing your presence. Dr. Anna Weiss, who led the study, described scent as the emotional fingerprint of belonging. Without it, cats lose the chemical proof that their world is still anchored to you. So the next time you leave a trace, a worn t-shirt on the bed, a blanket that still carries your scent, something that tells them you still exist in this space. Because to a cat, scent isn't smell, it's continuity. And without it, the world feels suddenly hollow. Number 7, the energy you leave behind when anxiety becomes contagious. Now, here's where the mystery deepens. Because your cat doesn't just watch your body, they read your energy. Dr. Julian Mercer from Cambridge University's Department of Comparative Psychology conducted an experiment that stunned the scientific community. When owners pretended to be anxious before leaving, pacing, sighing, or rushing, their cats' heart rates spiked within 30 seconds, even without any words exchanged. It turns out that cats synchronize emotionally with their humans through microsignals, body temperature shifts, pheromones, and even the electromagnetic rhythm of your heartbeat. This phenomenon is called empathic entrainment. So when you leave in a hurry, stressed or guilty, they absorb that energy and associate your departure with threat. Over time, they start linking the sound of keys or the sight of shoes with anxiety. And that triggers separation panic before you've even stepped out the door. But when you leave calmly, taking a breath, kneeling for a moment, speaking softly, their body mirrors that peace. Your calmness becomes their shield. Because cats don't just observe your emotions, they inherit them. So never rush out in chaos. Leave in stillness. Because the energy you carry out the door is the one that stays behind them. Number 8, the invisible wound, ignoring their emotional echo. There's one final mistake, one that's harder to see, because it happens long after you're gone. Many owners never realize how deeply their cats feel their absence. And even fewer realize that when you return home, your cat carries an emotional echo of what they felt while you were away. Dr. Mina Caldwell from the University of British Columbia calls it the post-separation response phase. When a cat experiences stress or loneliness during separation, the body releases stress chemicals like cortisol and ACTH. Even after you return, it takes hours for those hormones to fade. So, if you come home and immediately scold them for knocking something over or ignore them because you're tired, you reinforce their fear that your return isn't safety, but rejection. One of Dr. Caldwell's most touching studies followed 12 indoor cats over 3 months. Those who were greeted gently, with soft words and slow blinks, recovered from stress 3 times faster than those ignored upon reunion. Your return, therefore, isn't just the end of absence, it's the start of healing. So when you come home, kneel down. Let them smell your hands, rub their face against you, and reweave the bond that distance frayed. Because they waited. They trusted you would come back. And when you finally do, they deserve to be met with warmth, not indifference. You see, every mistake we've uncovered, from silence to scent, from rushing to ignoring, connects to a single truth. Your cat's world is a mirror of yours. Their peace reflects your rhythm. Their security echoes your intention. What happens when you leave is not just separation. It's a dialogue between two souls across distance. And the choices you make before you walk out the door decide how that dialogue feels. There's something profoundly mysterious about this connection. Science explains hormones, pheromones, and neurological responses, but it can't explain the feeling. That moment when you come home and your cat meets your eyes, and for just a second, you both know. It's more than recognition. It's remembrance. A bond that exists beyond language, an echo of something ancient, perhaps spiritual. Ancient Egyptians believed cats were guardians of the human soul, able to travel between seen and unseen worlds. Modern science may not confirm that, but every study, every experiment keeps circling back to the same truth. Cats feel us, even when we're gone. They read our energy. They track our scent. They memorize our sound. And in that complex web of emotion and biology lies something that no machine, no lab, no theory has yet explained. Love expressed through silence. So the next time you leave your cat alone, remember this. Don't just leave food. Leave presence. Don't just lock the door. Leave comfort. Don't just return. Reconnect. Because every moment you share, every look, every soft word, every quiet goodbye, builds a bridge between your world and theirs. And even when you're gone, that bridge glows faintly in the dark, reminding them that love is never really absent. It just changes form. Maybe that's the real secret. Maybe cats don't just wait for us. Maybe, in their quiet way, they keep a